This video will cover the topics on homework number 6. In this homework, you'll be plotting and identifying some points on the coordinate plane. So let's take a look here at the first question. It asks you to plot the point -3, -2. So remember, this first point is the x coordinate, and this second point is the y coordinate. And we always start plotting from the origin, right here in the center. So in order to plot the point -3, -2, when I start from the origin, I move along the x-axis first to -3. Then I move along the y-axis to -2. And that's where I'll plot the point. So use your mouse or your touch screen to click once there. If you make a mistake, click the point again and move it someplace else. So you can't click over here unless you unclick this point to create a new one. Once you've got it in the right place, submit your answer. Let's try one more. Again, the first number is the x-coordinate. That's the left or right number along the x-axis, right? This is the x-axis. This is the x-coordinate. So we're going to move 5 positive on the x-axis. Pause there. And now we're going to move along this vertical line to the correct y value, -6. Click once, submit your point. For the next topic, you'll be using a different scale, okay? So this one, the x-axis goes by 1s, but the y-axis goes by 10s. So if we want to plot a point like 9, 38, as you see up here, we're going to have to do some estimating. So I can definitely move over perfectly to a 9 on the x-axis, but moving to 38 on the y-axis is going to be kind of an estimate. Now, it's okay not to be perfect, but you have to be pretty close. So I'm not going to say that 38 is at 40, and I'm not going to say that it's at 30. And it's a little bit more than halfway, so if I were to put it halfway, I'd be off. So we're going to put it a little bit closer to 40, just shy of that 40 mark. Then we're going to press enter or submit and see how our estimate was. You'll notice its green dot is right on top of my yellow dot, so I did a very good job of estimating. I'm going to try another one, but this time I'm going to get it wrong so that you can see the difference. So if I go to 414, which is about halfway, a little bit less than halfway to 20, I'm going to estimate it a little too high so you can see the feedback. So 14 would be less than halfway, and my yellow dot is a little bit more. See, it marked it incorrect, and you can see why. This red dot is what I chose, but this green dot is where it should be. So be careful when you're estimating your distance that you don't pass either too high or too low on that point. So again, one more time, the point is 345. So I'm going to go over to 3, and then 45 is going to be halfway between 40 and 50. So I'm going to put it right there. Click submit and get your feedback. All right, the next topic is identifying points or naming the coordinates. So it asks you to state the coordinates of this black point. Remember that you have to state the coordinate of the x-axis first. So on the x-axis, this point lines up with the number -6. So I'm going to type that here. And on the y-axis, it lines up with +7. So I would type that there. So -6, +7 is my coordinate. Let's try this one more time. Again, I do the left or right x-axis value first. So it looks like it lines up with 5 on the x-axis. So from the point, if I go down to the x-axis, I line up with 5. And if I go to the y-axis, I line up with 6. So again, x is first. 5 comma, 6. So that's what I'm going to type down here. Submit your answer. Now let's move to the next lesson, which is same topic, identifying points, but level 2, which means that not all of the scale marks will be indicated. But we can see a 5 is here, so each tick mark, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, must go by ones. So I'm going to do the same thing. From the given point, I'm going to line up its distance on the x-axis, which for us is -9, and the distance on the y-axis, which is 6, 7, 8. So down below here, I'm going to type -9 and 8. So on this second lesson, all you have to do is look at the scale to make sure that it's going by ones or twos, etc. So let's take a look at the next topic, which is horizontal and vertical distance with a plot. So they're going to ask you to plot 2 points, and they're going to ask you to determine the distance. So -6, comma 3 is here. -6, comma 10 is way up there. Now it's going to ask me to find the vertical distance between the 2 points. So I simply have to count how many boxes there are between these 2 values. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7. And so we're going to type that here in the answer box. 7 units. Again, we'll try that one more time. Plot the 2 points, -3, 8, and -3, -6. And then count the units, or the boxes between the 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we're going to type that down here and submit. All right. This next lesson asks you to identify the quadrant in which the coordinate points are located, and it might help you to review where the quadrants are. The quadrants start in the upper right, and they move around in this direction. So quadrant 1, then quadrant 2, then quadrant 3, and then quadrant 4. It might be helpful if you write some positive, negative signs. So you can see if a point was down here, its 2 values would be x is positive, but y is negative, right? If you were here, you would have x is positive and y is positive, and so on. So let's take a look at this first point. I'm going to clear away some of these marks. And let's take a look at -1, 3. -1, 3 would be in this location, which is not the third quadrant. So that's out. -3, -6 would be right here, and that is the third quadrant. If you look carefully, you can see +4, -7 would be here, and +2, +8 would be there. So we're looking for anything in the third quadrant. So you may want to sketch a little coordinate plane on your scrap paper so that you can remember where the quadrants are located. Remember, quadrant 1 is the upper right, and it goes around to the left. Then practice plotting the point. So this first point would be +6 and -6. It would be around here. And that's not the second quadrant, so that's out. -6, -3, that would be this way. -6, -3, that's not the second quadrant, so that one's out. Then +2, +3, that's the first quadrant. Select your answer and submit. Okay, the last 2 tasks ask you to graph some polygons. So you're going to plot all of these points, and then when you are done, you will find the perimeter of the resulting figure. That's why we counted those horizontal and vertical distances on the activity earlier. So I'm going to plot the point -3, 8. Plot the point +5, +8. +5, 0, which means I'm on the axis, and -3, 0, which means I'm on the axis. Once I'm done plotting those points, I click this box here which says Graph Figure. Now all I need to do is calculate the perimeter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I know that this and this are the same size, and I know that this and this are the same size, so I have a square, or I have 4 side lengths of 8, which is 32 units. So I'm going to type that down here in my answer, 32 units, and click Submit. 1, 6, 5, 6, 5, -1, 1, -1. Graph the figure, and this one is not a square. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have 4 plus 7 plus 4 plus 7. Or I could say I have 2 4s and 2 7s. So that's 8 plus 14, which is 22. So 8 plus 14 is 22. Let's try the last topic, which is plotting and finding the area of a polygon. So we have more points this time. Let's take a look. -6, 8, 0, 8, 0, 4, 3, 4, 3, -2, and -6, -2. When it graphs the figure, you might see that we actually have 2 separate rectangles here. We've got this one in red, and we've got this one over here in blue. Now, when you're calculating the area of a figure, you are multiplying the length times the width. So for my blue rectangle, my length is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units, and my width, or the side here, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this has an area of 60. And my red rectangle has a length of 3 and a width of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3 times 6 is 18. So 60 plus 18 is 78. The area of the whole shape combined is 78. So they're going to write units squared for you. You simply put the measurement here. In this answer, they also show you another way that you could have solved it. And that is, instead of splitting our shape into 2 rectangles, right? Instead of splitting it into 2 rectangles, you could have just made one larger rectangle, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 on the side, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 on the bottom. So this whole rectangle would have an area of 90. But this piece over here was not actually there. So we could subtract this red rectangle if we'd like. And this red rectangle is 1, 2, 3 units by 1, 2, 3, 4, which would have an area of 12. So 90 minus 12 is also 78. It doesn't matter whether you break the shape into 2 parts or whether you enlarge the shape and then remove a part. And that's how you'll complete the questions on homework number 6.